Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Robert Brill. He is the CEO of Brill Media, media buying agency that focuses on precision advertising for business growth. Welcome to the show,
Thank
Robert.
you, KAJ. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online form. I'm sure a lot of people, not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe, will benefit from what we are talking about. We'll talk about using advertising for business growth. So, my first question to you, Robert, is to understand you say your company focuses on precision advertising.
Yes.
What is precision advertising? Is it different than other forms of advertising?
Yeah, precision advertising is really a focus on using consumer data to reach people, and using the methods and practices that work right now to drive sales. Anyone with a computer can access Facebook advertising if you have a computer, an internet connection, and a Facebook account. But what you don't have is the experience to be able to leverage that platform effectively. And so what we do is the precision comes from our experience, the consumer data that we reach, and the outcomes that we deliver.
Right, right. So in today's time, advertising has been there for quite some time now. And earlier it was indifferent print advertising, television advertising, but with the digital advertising coming in this digital age or now with artificial intelligence coming in. I want to understand, where does advertising stand today? Because mainstream media is also facing its own challenges. A
Mhm.
lot of companies have gone digital. A lot of revenues are also going towards new areas, even like say even newsletters and all.
Sure.
So how does this whole say uh, industry look like as an individual small business? When how should I look at it? Uh, the way, is it only Facebook or something else? But help us understand from a
Yeah.
small business perspective, what does this whole industry look like? What are the choices I've got today?
Yeah. So, most ad spend goes to Facebook and Google. According to Facebook, there are 10 million advertisers, and the vast majority of them are small businesses. And according to Neil Patel, about 62% of them fail because they don't have the insight to make it work for them. And, one of the things that we advocate for is that you can do, if you find the right advertising partner or ad agency like ours, you can maximize your advertising spend by working with a partner. Um, don't spend, like, if you have $1,000 or let's say $1,500 to spend in advertising, don't spend that time and money trying to learn how to run ads, because you're basically spending $1,500 trying to learn advertising. That's not the best use of your time as a business owner for a couple reasons. Number one, you have more important things to do, like grow customer sales, manage finances, think about manufacturing. Like the growth of your business is important, and the operations of your business is important. It's unlikely that any one business owner is going to be also an expert at advertising and marketing, because I've been in the business for 20 years, and it's tough. Like, things are always changing. Like, you need experience to be able to use these channels for growth. So rather than doing that, work with a partner that's going to charge you $500-$600 a month to invest the $1,000 or $1,500 that you have. But the challenge is finding the right agency, because finding the right agency, there are a lot of people. Like I said, everyone can offer advertising and marketing services. So what you're looking for are people who have proven results, people who you like working with and you like talking to, people who will keep you educated about what they're doing with your advertising investment, and people who you feel comfortable will give you the business growth that you're looking for. What you don't want to find when you're looking for an agency, you don't want to look for people who are going to give you just big promises, because big promises often lead to failure, because it's just, you got to dig into the data to understand what type of performance you can get for a small business. So what we advocate for is, you know, very, no long-term contracts. You can come and go as you please because we want you to stay with us because you like working with us. And we have clients who stay with us for many years because they like working with us and they like the results that they're getting. So you're looking for communication, context, and consistency. You want people who you can talk to. You want people who will show up day in and day out and provide you the same level of service. And you want people who will give you an understanding of what works with your advertising campaign and what doesn't work and provide recommendations and be the leaders in the room for the advertising. So you can focus on other things like growing your business.
Right, right, Robert. So you talked about big promises others can make to you. What are these big promises that they will make and I will not be able to make out whether they
Yeah.
are making those false promises? As
Yeah.
a small business owner, I know a bit about, say, Facebook or Google or whatever. So obviously, I will be able to see through this thing. But from you, I want to
Yeah.
understand for the audience, what are these big promises one can make, one I should be careful about?
Yeah, of course. So, couple things. When we talk about big promises, what we're saying is people who will guarantee results. People who will say, "Look, if you don't pay us, you don't pay us if we don't 10x your revenue, or 5x or 2x your revenue, whatever the case is." Usually that the reason those offers work, I see those agencies all the time. The reason those offers work is because they have very minimal um, um, criteria. They have very strong criteria for which clients that would be, and usually your business won't fall under that. So it does work for like a very small percentage of businesses, but chances are your business is not going to work. So they're going to charge you a normal fee, and so now they have you in the door, and you really don't know if they have any capabilities for you. That's number one. Number two, you got to look at people's history. Like, are these 3 years ago were they selling Bitcoin? or NFTs, or were they buying stock because there was a bubble on certain stocks, right? So you want to look for longevity. Just simply existing, simply being in this marketplace for a long time is important. What other offers can I think of that are just anything that sounds too good to be true? We can't guarantee any level of success without knowing your business. I can't go to your business or someone's business and be like, yeah, we're going to get 5 times return on ad spend. Right? You spend $1 in, you get $5 out. I can't guarantee that. I don't know if you have product market fit. I don't know if people want your product. I don't know if people have your product, if it's priced the right way. What I can do is dig into the data, look at your historical marketing efforts, see what you've done in the past, and look for levels of improvement. That's reasonable. But off the top, not even talking to you saying I can 10x your business, no, that's a big problem. That's a red flag for me.
Right, Robert. So let's look at it from a common small business perspective. Uh, there are agencies and there are courses, online courses where people teach you for, say, in 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 500 rupees, as per, $5 to $7, $8, they will teach you. And you learn a bit, whatever you can learn, or you learn it by yourself in wherever it is possible. And you think that fair enough. There is a lot of chat gpt, lot many tools. You can make some ad,
Sure.
can figure out some audience for your product or service, and put out an ad in wherever it is, maybe Facebook, Instagram together, or Google ads if it is.
Sure.
I want to understand that what is the differentiator here in terms of an agency bringing something to the table, and this guy as an individual will not be able to do that, so that they understand that, okay, if I'm spending this money, then this is the big area. It will it it will be covered. Without that sort of an expertise, this is what I'm missing out on. Now, this a lot of other people will promise you, but when you say it on the show, then people will take it, okay, this is something, the differentiator. This is, if I have that capacity to spend some extra money with an advertising agency, then they will bring me this this particular value onto the
Yeah.
table.
It's not just the money that you're spending, it's the time that you're spending, it's the mental focus that you're spending, and it's the opportunity cost. What could you be doing with your time? So I often ask people, excuse me, I often ask people, what is your time worth? What's your hourly rate? And what is your highest value work? And if you have a business and you've built a business and you have employees and you have revenue and you have something that's really an ongoing concern, you probably know your highest value work and your hourly rate. And then the fundamental question is spending 7 rupees and an hour trying to do something on Google additive or accretive to your worldview? That's the fundamental question. Is your time better spent talking to clients, forming relationships, overseeing your manufacturing, or is your time better spent running advertising? And that's a question, that's a relationship, that's relational advice for everyone. Only you can answer that question. But for a lot of people, a lot of business owners, you know, spending your time learning advertising is not the best way to go. And I'll put it a different way. If you have a cut on your arm, do you go to the person who watched a YouTube video and says, I can cut you, I can
That's a difficult example that you have given, but
okay?
I'll go with that. Yeah.
Or do you want to go to the doctor who trained for a bunch of years and knows what they're doing? It's like that.
Right. But practically here it's not a doctor example in terms of I do get that sense. But
Your
for
car.
a lot of people who do not have that amount of money, even if they know the differentiator, maybe not today, they will be able to. Is it that they know more about audience insights? You talked about precision, about data, using data.
Yeah.
What sort of data? It is about audience. Let's look at it this way. A small business comes to you and they know only about, say, Facebook and Google ads, or heard about it, done a bit here and there.
Mhm.
How would you look at it? Say they have only $5,000 to spend, say, for a couple of months, and they
Mhm.
want to do it. How will you look at it? Will you just go by their saying Facebook or Google, or will you
No.
look at it much more differently?
Yeah, I mean, we start from scratch. We look to create a strategy. That's the most important thing. And the strategy is really a way to understand whether or not you're successful or you're failing and how to improve. There's always room for improvement. Even if you're successful, there's always room for improvement. So the strategy looks at what you've done in the past, what your business needs are now, your budget, your economics, how much is a customer worth, what is your customer acquisition cost, that type of thing. And we'll give you a recommendation of where we think advertising is going to make the most sense. The other thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you have the consumer funnel. At the top you have generating demand, in the middle you have consideration, and at the bottom you have purchase. And people, it's not a straight line anymore, but people generally go through that cycle. And each channel that you run or each tactic that you run has to have a place in that demand funnel. So, for example, connected television could be a good place to generate demand. But don't compare connected television ads to Google search, because Google search will always be more efficient. Depending on how you set it up, it could be the dramatically most efficient. And so there's another thing there to talk about. But you don't want to, for example, you don't want to compare the effectiveness of Google search ads to connected TV, because on the surface you'd say, look, stop running connected TV because it's not generating sales, but Google search is. But what you're not seeing is the fact that people are becoming interested in you with connected TV, and then they search for you on Google and your search improves. So that's one thing to consider, right? Like you need, and you miss that when you don't have a strategy in mind. The core idea is you need to understand what's going to be successful, how all of these channels play together to create demand and scoop up demand. But yeah, I mean, look, the vast majority of spending in the marketplace is going to Facebook and Google. And but even if you just look at those two channels, you can easily spend, like Google, for example. A common theme on Google is when people say, hey, my Google ads aren't working, Google search isn't for me. It's because they don't have the right ad group set up. They are running too many keywords that are too broad, and they're not focused on optimizing the campaign. They run it for a month, they say it didn't work, and they move on to the next thing. It's not how advertising works. You got to run ads for like 3, 4, 6, 12 months. Not to say you'll get performance early on, but you'll get exponential performance over the long term if you keep it on and let the algorithms understand where you're running. Like, for example, on Google, excuse me, on Google, most people think about Google as cost per click or PPC, but the algorithms that work the best right now on Google are optimizing to a sale or optimizing to a lead, either a cost per lead or the return on ad spend, some sort of financial metric tied to your business. So if you just go to Google and say, I'm going to run ads to get people to click on the ads, that's already the wrong move. Like, you've lost the game in the very first moment of the game because you set it up incorrectly. So those are ways that, working with an expert can really save you a ton of money and time and frustration, and create opportunities to really dramatically grow your business. And you're not going to get that from a course. You just have to know the methods and practices that work right now to drive sales.
Right, right. A lot of businesses, small businesses, they are working online. They're looking at this whole online globally. In India, if you look at it from a lot of Indians' perspective, we have a lot of small businesses, medium and small manufacturing enterprises. A lot of people are into the textile business, sari business, handloom sari business, made in the deep corners of the country, all the states almost. And they sell it online. Many of them sell on Etsy or different platforms. But those platforms have their own problems, and they can lose a lot of money there. So
Sure.
they want to sell through their own website, and they want to promote it. What some of the things, how would you tell them how they can utilize the present options they have, and to boost their business online into a global world, especially in the US, UK, France, Germany, all these areas? A lot of Indians also stay, and a lot of international clients are also there who have interest into things like this. What would you like to tell them quickly in terms of the online part? Okay, these are the things you may be missing. You should look at that.
Yeah, I mean, you want, if you're doing e-commerce, you probably want to be on Shopify. That's number one. Number two, you want to have, there's pieces of code called pixels, right? And so you have the ability to track when people are on your website. And any platform that you advertise with, you want the pixels to live on your website so that you can track attribution and be able to remarket to people. The number one tactic that most people know about is remarketing, because we've all experienced it. And remarketing is when you're shopping for shoes, and then you leave, and then you go online and you see ads for the same shoe. That's remarketing. So you want to be able to deploy that. So Shopify, simple website, then it's the you're looking for predictable, repeatable, and scalable business growth. That's what you're looking for. It might take you 6 months, it might take you 10 years, but you're looking for that. And when you do that, what you're really looking for is, where can I spend money and know that I'm going to grow? And where can I spend 10 times as much money and know I'm going to get about 10 times as much more business? So Shopify, from a website building perspective, there's a tool called Elementor, which is fantastic.
Right.
And if you're going to be in this e-commerce space, you really want to focus on, like, Meta, for example. The fundamental thing on Meta is you want to train Meta's machine learning algorithm to find your best customers. And there's ways to do that. Creative testing is one way. Broad targeting is another way, because Meta knows where your customers are. So you just got to give it the right parameters so that you can let it find the customers for you. But most people don't know that. Okay, that's another thing you're not going to find in a course. So yeah, I mean, those are the two places I would start. I would then add Google Analytics. Make sure you have your Google Analytics set up. If you're an e-commerce store owner, it really fundamentally depends on what's your vision for the business. Like, I'm always learning. It's very valuable for me to hear what other people have to say and the methods and practices they use to grow their businesses. So for me taking a course, for example, I pay $5,000 to $15,000 for different courses and different ideas on the best practices from other people who are experts in the space, because it's valuable for me. I'm not just marketing my business. I can learn from that. So that's valuable for me. I'm always learning. So is what you're going to be doing accretive? So what's the vision for your business? Are you more about the marketing and the website, and that's your business? Or are you more about the manufacturing and the growth of a particular industry? Is that your business? Like what type of business person are you? What's your vision? What type of person will you be in 5 or 10 years? So for me, I always knew when I started this firm that I'm going to grow into an agency. I don't want to be a freelancer. I don't want to be a consultant. There's a lot of things. So if you're doing e-commerce, again, Shopify, Elementor, Google Analytics, train Meta's machine learning algorithm, and the last one is influencers. Work with influencers. Influencers are valuable, and my opinion usually for most things is start small, start inexpensive or free, but giving away product. You are much more likely to find success. In my opinion, you're much more likely to find success for the people who don't know how to value themselves. Like, you could have a great influencer who has 10,000 people following them, but they're like the right people for your business, and you're going to get a lot of sales. But if you run with an influencer that has 100,000 people and you actually pay them, number one, they're not the right audience. Number two, they may not care about your product. And number three, you work with them, you pay them money, and you're not going to get barely anything. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. So you've got to develop those muscles on how to do each of these individual things.
Absolutely. Absolutely good advice. Very quickly, one question is that those people who have already got their website, say on Wix or in WordPress also, do
Sure.
they also need to go for Shopify? Will that add more to their muscle, or it's only for people who do not have a website yet and they go and open it on Shopify?
Shopify is not just a website, it's a way to sell products. So you want to take advantage of the dominant platform in the marketplace. And Shopify is that. Like, the benefit of Shopify is they have a lot of different integrations and a lot of data on their own right. And because they're so big right now, it's easy to integrate with other things. Like, there's WooCommerce, for example. WooCommerce is a good tool as well, but it's just not as much of a juggernaut as Shopify is. So for example, if you run Facebook ads or Meta ads, you can easily integrate with both Shopify and WooCommerce. But I'll just tell you, the vast majority of e-commerce stores that I see are built on Shopify, and it's very easy for us to integrate with them on the advertising front. It's much more difficult to do the work on WooCommerce.
Okay. So we can have both your independent website on any platform, any of the hosting platforms, and then you also have Shopify. Does this make sense for
I hear what you're saying. I don't actually know the answer to that. I don't know that particular answer. All I know is that if you have an e-commerce store, you've got to do some, like, it's almost like the back end engine for your business. It's a website to sell stuff, but there's back end inventory and integrations to access your store, make access to your store very easy. Do you need Wix or WordPress plus Shopify? I think you do, but that's not my area of expertise. We really focus on advertising.
Okay. How can we use Elementor? Elementor is basically, if one can use it in WordPress and all, but can it be used other places also?
as far as I know, you can use it in WordPress. We use Elementor on our website, and it makes it so easy to build websites. You really have to have, you don't have to have any talent. And I'm talking about myself. No talent building websites, no code, like barely know how to make things look visually appealing, and it works. So what I do is I will build I worked with, I'll tell you how our website came to be. I worked with someone on Upwork who designed our website, and she was expensive and it was well worth it. But I was like, hey, can you make this design a real thing for us? And she's like, let me refer you to someone. So there's a lady that I work with on Upwork. Her name is Sheila. She's amazing. And she, basically, like, we have a design. She turns it into a landing page like magic. I don't know what she does, but it's magic. Photoshop file, and I get a website. It's glorious. Or when I have problems with the Elementor site that I'm building, or the page that I'm building, and the margins look off, I just go, hey, Sheila, can you please, I don't know what's going on, but I need you to fix this. And like in 24 hours, it's fixed. So the learning for me is you've got to find these people who are part of your tribe, who are there for the long term, because it's all about trust. You're trusting someone with access to your website. Do you know the incredibly bad things that a person with access to your website can do? Like horrible things. And like, you've got to trust. Like, I'm letting you into my home, into where I sleep, and I've got to trust that nothing bad is going to happen. So I'm giving you the keys, and these people are valued partners for us over long term. So
Right, right. So, Robert, what is the best way for people to learn more about, Brill Media? If you say someone is already having a relationship with another company and they want to shift to, say, thinking of moving to another company, advertising agency, how would you like to tell them? What is your strong point? What you can do, what others cannot do for them,
yeah, I
or you
mean,
can do better?
yeah, the first part is we would like to do an audit on your Google account, on your Facebook or Meta account, and really provide you with some insight into how you can improve and whether or not you need to improve. By the way, like, you might have the perfect agency and there's nothing we can do, and we'll tell you there's nothing we can do. But we haven't found that situation yet. We've every time we've done an audit, we've seen that there are ways for us to improve. But it's going to be an honest conversation about whether or not there's room for improvement, and usually there is. We'll do an audit. We'll give you some ideas of how you can improve, and we'll say, look, if you want to benefit from our historical knowledge, experience, thinking, very senior people, 10 to 20 years in the business, work with us. And so you can go to brillmedia.co, brillmedia.co. There's a contact button at the top, and you can reach out to us and say hello. We'll immediately get an email. And from there, we'll get on a call with me, and we'll talk about your business challenges. Everything we do starts with, where are you now? Where do you want to be? And let's determine whether or not we can help you get there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, KJ.